So hello there, welcome to Damien's Trains and Travels and welcome to the video. Hope you had a lovely Christmas. I did. In this video I'll be doing a review on the Corgi Wrong Trousers train chase scene based upon the Wrong Trousers Wallace and Gromit film. And this was brought out by Corgi this year in conjunction with Feathers McGraw coming back into the film that was on over Christmas, Vengeance Most Fowl. And I absolutely loved it, and in this video I'll be talking a little bit about that film and also the train as well as a model I've got. So obviously I've got this Christmas, and as you can see I've got some that are in the box and some out of the box. And the one that's out of the box I actually borrowed off someone that collects things, so she doesn't keep things in the box. She didn't wish to be named. She does have an account on Instagram, but I'm not sure what it is. But I don't use Instagram myself or TikTok, so all I really use is YouTube really. But she allowed me to, and obviously trusted me enough to let me show you the one out of the box, and which I'm sort of glad about, because it's obviously I do, as you know, my reviews on my Turtle collection, and I've got them out of the boxes and in the boxes. And in the boxes it's quite easy to review them because you can see it with the card, whereas in the boxes with this Wrong Trousers one you can't see it as well. But if you look on the back of the box, you've got 3 individual sets. So you've got Gromit on some of the coaches with some track, and then Feathers McGraw the penguin on the train with some track, and then Wallace on the back of the train with some track as well, and obviously the flatbed wagons as well. So it gives you a better idea of what they are, and I think they're very well detailed. So like I said, Vengeance Most Fowl was out over Christmas, and I'm pleased to say that with the Greg Wallace controversy, as you've probably heard, it didn't cancel it, which I'm sort of glad about in a way. That's been all over the news. But in general, I try not to watch the news because it can be a bit depressing sometimes, and not everything on there is true. But anyway, so Vengeance Most Fowl was out on Christmas Day, and I wasn't working on Christmas Day this year because of my job I have to work Christmas Day sometimes. But this year, Christmas Day and Christmas Eve were both my days off, so I didn't have to. So I watched it actually on the day on Christmas Day this year, which I was glad about, and I recorded it as well. And I really enjoyed it. And so Feathers McGraw comes back in this one, and Wallace invents a smart gnome that he calls Norbot, and poor Gromit feels like Norbot's replacing him, and he's sort of getting in the way as well, and annoying him. And again, I really like this film, and it was all over the TV guide. And now, obviously, Wallace used to be voiced by a famous actor called Peter Sallis, who unfortunately passed away aged 96 in 2017. And Peter Sallis was a great actor, and I think it's a shame, but obviously he was 96, so you know, it was unfortunately to be expected. Not everyone makes it to that age. Unfortunately, I know someone who died just before Christmas, and they were only 44, so I think 96 is a very good age. He's now voiced by Ben Whitehead, who also did some of the video games. And I've never really been into video games, so I've never really played the video games. I've seen some videos on YouTube and that, but I've never really been into them. I think it's great that they used PC Macintosh again, though. I don't think it would have worked if it had been a different police officer. I think the fact that they've used him again, say again, he was voiced by Peter Kay, was good. And so for me, obviously I've watched all the films, and it was a bit weird it being without Peter Sallis, but I think Ben Whitehead did a great job as well. I'm sure Peter Sallis would have been proud, and I remember seeing an interview of him before, years ago before he died, that he said that the show was going to obviously carry on without him one day. He was in his 80s back then, I think. You know, unfortunately we don't live forever, so you know, I think it was sort of inevitable really. But I think Ben Whitehead did a great job, and at the same time I was happy just to see Wallace and Gromit again. And I'm sure, you know, Peter Sallis would have been too. And like I said, so Feathers McGraw was obviously first seen in the Wrong Trousers, and I absolutely loved the train chase scene, which is obviously what this set's based upon. But he comes back in this one, and from behind bars he manages to control Wallace's smart gnome Norbot and create a load of other robots and escape. And what I also liked is as well is obviously you got all the background jokes and everything like you do in most of the other films, and I think you could say they really pushed the boat out in this one. No pun intended by that. It was a really great film, and I think my favourite Wallace and Gromit film still technically The Wrong Trousers. This was obviously a sequel to it, and I really liked it, and I like the fact that obviously there was references to The Wrong Trousers, so like you actually saw a little bit of the train chat, like the railway coaches and that in the background, and there was obviously references made to the film, and it was quite clever how it was done really, because we obviously believed that the diamond was given back to the museum at the end, but it was actually hidden in Wallace's teapot for all those years. And then at the end it was quite funny as well when Feathers thought that he'd got away with it, and he flies down from the viaduct, a bit like Mary Poppins on the umbrella, onto the train. So it was nice again, we got to see a train in the film. Obviously, as you know, my channel, I do things all railway related, so it was great to see that. And then Gromit's actually swapped it and got the diamond. And then something else I liked about this film was that Peter Kay came back as PC Macintosh, and PC Macintosh was first seen in 2005, so 19 years ago, in The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. And he didn't have much hair, but he looks a lot younger. He had a brown moustache, whereas now in this one he's got a grey moustache, and he's now been promoted to Chief Inspector. So it was great that he was in it as well, and I don't think, if it had been played by another actor, I don't think it would have worked as well. Obviously, I'm sure Peter Kay's quite a busy man, so it was quite good that he actually came back, I think, and portrayed the policeman again. And again, I think Peter Kay, from what I've seen online, is a little bit of a fan anyway. And also, as well, what I quite liked as well is the fact that you've got the farmer from Shaun the Sheep, which obviously Shaun the Sheep was originally in Wallace and Gromit, in Shopper 13 and A Close Shave. Shopper 13 was one of the shorts they did about cracking contraptions. So the farmer that was in the spin-off series actually made a cameo role, and it's funny actually, before the film come out, I did actually wonder, would anyone else sort of make a flashback or a cameo? I mean, I've seen other Aardman Animation films, again like the Shaun the Sheep films and other films, where other characters from other Aardman films get referenced. So I did actually wonder if that had happened. But then also, I mean, I saw this in the trailer as well beforehand. If you look carefully, a lot of the additional characters that appear, some of them are in The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, and they appear particularly in the police station on the board. Some of them appear, and also some, it looks like as well in the crowd scenes, some of the other characters have come back but dressed slightly differently. But then also in 2005, a lot of the old Wallace and Gromit props and other Aardman films sets were destroyed in a fire. Around the time that the premiere for The Curse of the Were-Rabbit came out, unfortunately. So I'm sure they've had to rebuild a lot of stuff, and obviously a lot of stuff from the previous films has been destroyed. I'm not sure what exactly got destroyed, but a lot of things got destroyed. As I said before, PC Macintosh was obviously aged, and I remember there was an interview that was obviously about the film that was coming up, and it said about the fact that he'd aged, and he was the only sort of character that's aged. However, in the title sequences of other films and other films in the background, we see photo frames of Wallace and Gromit when they were a bit younger, and the same in this film as well. And again, I've noticed again, looking in the background, a lot of films, that some of the same props from other films and that are used again and again. And I always think that particularly, obviously a lot of stuff is scratch built or made by hand, and I just think as an animator, you must get a sense of pride that, say, I don't know, for example, you designed a flower in a flower pot, and it was in the background, and you see it, you'd probably feel a sense of pride. But then, if it only got a few seconds, and it was out of focus in the background or something, you might feel a bit annoyed. But hopefully it gets used again. And it's funny actually, 2005, so 19 years ago, I got my first DVD player. Obviously when I was younger, a lot of things used to be on VHS tapes, and then it sort of became DVD. And it's funny, when I saw The Curse of the Were-Rabbit film, we actually went and saw it in the cinema. But then this film's not even been in the cinema. It was obviously on TV on Christmas Day, and now it's on Netflix, and obviously a lot of stuff's going online now as well. I mean, you've got smart TVs, you can watch on iPlayer on your TV from that as well. So again, technology's changed quite a lot in the last 19 years since The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Like I said, that was 2005. And like I said, one of the first DVDs that I got when I did buy myself a DVD player was actually the Free Adventures one, as you can see here. It's funny, if you look in the inside as well, it shows you some other DVDs you can get from BBC. Again, shows I used to watch back then as well. And obviously now I've got quite a big collection of DVDs, and like I said, a lot of things seem to be online now, but I still prefer to have I think DVDs might be going a little bit out of fashion, but at the same time, I prefer to have like a hard physical copy, so I prefer to have a DVD, and I mean, they take up less room than the VHS tapes as well. So I'd rather have a DVD than just watch it online, personally. And then obviously if it's online it gets deleted, at least you've got a DVD, you can watch it again anyway. So I'm hoping obviously this film comes out on DVD as well. And also in conjunction with Christmas, before the TV show, you get these things called TV idents, and they made 3 different ones that were Christmas themed that featured Wallace, Gromit and Wallace. And the train actually appears in one of them in one in their living room. I think that was one of my favourite ones. There's also one outside where they're making snow sculptures, and they appear in what looks like a park, and a part of me likes to think that it's the park that appears in the background of The Wrong Trousers, maybe, but slightly different design, maybe. That's what I like to think. And then there was one with a Christmas tree outside the house, which I quite liked as well. And it's funny, when I was at college, which was 15 years ago, so this video, one of the first videos I uploaded was actually a TV ident. I did a media course and we had to make a TV ident, and and you can see it on my channel. It's the first video that I uploaded, and it was cutout animation. And cutout animation is a type of stop motion, but it's made using like paper cutouts, a bit like how Wallace and Gromit made. Obviously, then Wallace and Gromit plasticine, but this one was paper cutouts, which is how South Park used to be animated as well. And it was Bob the Dog, and Bob the Dog was sort of I sort of got the idea for that from Gromit as well. And obviously it had to be a children's one, so I made them colourful, but that was one of the first videos I'd done. It's probably not as good as the Aardman Animations, but for me, for a first attempt, I was quite proud of it as well. And so like I said, I really enjoyed the film overall, Vengeance Most Fowl. I particularly liked, well, obviously you've got the hidden jokes in the background, and there's like references as well to like previous films, so like the toast scene at the beginning, like saying cracking toast Gromit. And if you listen carefully to the music in the background, I mean, I've got autism, so sometimes we have what you call a photographic memory, so you remember stuff. And if you listen carefully to some of the music in the background, it's the music and score that was used in other films as well. So, and obviously there was the motorbike and sidecar, which first appeared in The Close Shave, and again it has appeared in TV adverts, but again the way I see it is the TV adverts and that are a different sort of thing to the films, whereas obviously the film things and the TV adverts are 2 separate things in a way. So it was nice to have the motorbike and sidecar featured in a film as well, and play quite a significant part. And again, you've got the Austin van that again appears in many other films as well, but for all their different businesses, but this time there's no improvements. Again, Paul Gromit felt sort of misplaced when obviously it said Wallace and Wallace, not Wallace and Gromit. But I'm sure Wallace didn't actually mean any harm to Gromit, although you do sort of feel for Gromit. And I think out of the 2 of them, I like Wallace and Gromit, but I think that Gromit's my slight more favourite one, and he always makes me laugh, and you always know exactly what he's thinking. Obviously, Aardman do a great job animating him. And again, obviously, Aardman's created lots of different shows over the years, and I like them all for different reasons, but Wallace and Gromit have always been my favourite one. And as well, I used to get the magazines. There was just over 20 of them produced between 2005 2007, and I actually appeared in one of them, as you can see here, in 2007, showing my collection. But in one of them, Feathers McGraw actually comes back, and in that one, PC Macintosh actually appears, and he appears in another magazine as well in one of the stories. But again, I think the magazines and the films are 2 separate things. But it was nice in this one that he got more of a character development and came back. And again, I didn't expect him to have much of a... Well, part of me did think, is he going to have a big part or not? Obviously, Peter Kay is quite a famous actor, and I thought, well, surely Peter Kay is not only going to voice him if he's doing a few lines, because obviously there's going to be a crime in that involved. I thought, well, surely he's going to play a huge part, and he did. And at the end, he obviously retires, and it's funny, even when he retires, he's still got his police instincts and chases after a boat that's speeding, breaking the speed limit, and taking his job quite seriously, even though he's now retired. And again, like I said, I absolutely love the film, because obviously all the jokes in the background of that, but also something else that I have noticed, if you watch all of the films and that, and the Cracking Contraption series and that, there's nearly always gnomes in the background in a lot of the films. And again, I think it's a very sort of traditional British thing, and obviously the fact they're sitting down having a cup of tea as well, cheese and crackers, that sort of thing. Very British humour, and I think we've got that sort of humour here that you don't get in other things. But again, like I said, Feathers McGraw come back was great as well, and I think it's always been on the cards because again, if you watch some of the other films and again the other merchandise, it's always been referenced. So I've always thought it was on the cards. He was going to return one day. Obviously, he asked for this. And as well, obviously, I was talking about gnomes. When I went to the Isle of Man this year, obviously you can watch that video on my channel. There's a place called the Isle of Man. You can watch my video of my trip there. But there was actually a shop at Ramsey where we stayed, and there was actually some Wallace and Gromit garden sort of gnome ornaments as well. And it's funny, when I was there, they actually introduced, or there was a clip on YouTube showing a preview of the film, the scene with Norbot. So it made me think of that as well. And obviously I was talking about the magazines a few minutes ago. I mean, at the end of The Wrong Trousers, we see the Wrong Trousers, or the Techno Trousers they were known, walking off into the sunset. Never seen them again, but like I said, they're referenced in this magazine. And again, the magazines, a lot of the characters used to appear from all the other films and that, which was quite nice. And like I said, I still think my favourite one was The Wrong Trousers, but I really like this one. The fact there's loads of other characters, and I always think there's loads of other characters. Obviously, it depends on. Obviously, the character has to be good, but it's always nice to see other characters alongside Wallace and Gromit as well. And The Wrong Trousers, there was only 3 characters. There was Wallace, Gromit, and Feathers McGraw. Whereas this one, there's loads more characters, and I think it makes it quite interesting as well. And I particularly love the end of the film with the boat chase scene. Obviously, the fact you got to see the farmer from Shaun the Sheep, and obviously the fact that he disappears on a steam train as well. I found that quite funny. And it was a great sequel to The Wrong Trousers, in my opinion. As well, when the film first came out, I was worried that the trailer was going to be a bit of a giveaway. And I did watch a few behind the scenes sort of thing as well. And there was a particular behind the scenes one that I saw, which was on Blue Peter. And a boy put a Blue Peter badge in the background, which you can see in the final film as well. And me and my sister both entered a Blue Peter competition when we were younger and got a Blue Peter badge as well. Obviously, Blue Peter's a very well-known show. And as well, just before Christmas, I don't watch Strictly Come Dancing, but my mum does. And Wallace and Gromit on Strictly Come Dancing as well. That was quite interesting to see. And I still didn't watch the full episode of Strictly Come Dancing, but I saw obviously the clip on YouTube of them as well. So obviously that was my thoughts on the film. Honestly, I really liked it, and I think that if you haven't watched it, you should watch it. But now I'm going to move on to this model. So as you probably saw, for Christmas I got quite a few nice things, as you can see here. Quite a few actual Wallace and Gromit things as well. I had a really good Christmas, and I think everyone in my family got what they wanted. And I was quite busy on Christmas Day, so that's why I didn't make this video on Christmas Day. Obviously, it's my sort of day off, my family time and that as well. But obviously, like I said, I've been lucky to be able to borrow a model out of the box, so I'll show you what it looks like, and it runs as well, as you can see here. So you can push it back and forth, and the wheels go around as well. And obviously, as you know, I'm a bit of a collector. I like to keep things, a bit of a buff, I like to keep things in the boxes and that. And one thing obviously I didn't know until obviously I borrowed this is that you can actually remove Wallace and Gromit and Feathers McGraw off of the train, and obviously there's a bit of a hole there under Wallace. Sorry, that sounds a bit wrong, but yeah, there's a hole under Wallace that you can put him on off the flatbed, and same with like Gromit and that, and they fit in quite nicely. So it's sort of nice that you can remove them. And I think my only sort of criticism is if you look carefully at Gromit, you can see like a line where he's sort of been joined together. It's a shame that it's not completely smooth. I think that would be my own sort of criticism model. Obviously, if he was going to have this out of the box, I think it sort of ruins the model of Gromit as well, in a way. And like I said, he was one of my favourite ones. And like I said, you can always tell what he's thinking. I suppose he's a little bit like Sooty in some way. Sooty doesn't speak, but you know exactly what he's thinking. Although in The Wrong Trousers, when he's on the lead, you do hear Gromit yelp, and also in A Close Shave, there's one scene you hear him like wolf whistle. So it does make some noises, but on the whole, he is completely silent. But you know exactly what he's thinking. I suppose you could say the same with Feathers as well, really. Obviously, the main character that come back. And I think the detail on the coaches is really nice, and obviously the train, which is the locomotive, which is the main thing as well. And I think it's, in some ways, it's a bit weird, really. Well, I think as well, if I was to change this model, I mean, obviously at the beginning of the train chase, Wallace was in the techno trousers, and I think it's a shame they didn't put him in the techno trousers rather than his underpants, really. Obviously, you know, as it was the wrong trousers, although the box would, if he was on the techno trousers, he would have been standing up, so the box would have probably had to be a lot bigger. So maybe that's what they thought of. And I mean, as well, Feathers McGraw had the gun originally, but I suppose, you know, it's probably a bit controversial them putting the gun on this, really. I mean, it's probably with censorship these days, they haven't actually removed the scene where he's got a gun. But at the same time, you know, it was great for what it was. And obviously, Gromit had a lampshade on his head originally, originally when he was on the train, because when he was trying to catch him, he ends up jumping up, grabbing hold of the lampshade. Feather shot towards him, and it ended up going through the wire, and he landed on the train with the lampshade on his head. So it's a shame I think that wasn't included. So like I said, if it was me personally, I'd have probably done a few different things. Like I said, I've had Wallace in the techno trousers, Gromit with the lampshade and Feathers with the gun. But it's nice that they've got the swag bag with the diamond as well. And like I said, it was quite funny, particularly at the end of this film, when he goes away thinking he's got the diamond, but he's actually the turnip, and Gromit swapped it round. I think that was very cleverly done, so it was a really good sequel to it. Another thing to me that never made sense with the train chase scene as well, obviously, as I mentioned about obviously the fact you see the wardrobes again and again in the background, like the background is just used again and again, but then also the fact that Gromit never runs out of tracks and that he's got some curves which are in like a box for straights. That was a bit weird, but again, like I said, anything can happen in Wallace and Gromit's world. Something that you'll probably find quite interesting as well is Vengeance Most Fowl on Christmas Day was the second most watched show. It shows you the list here, and it was beaten by Gavin and Stacey, and Gavin and Stacey is a sitcom, and it's not really one that I've ever really been into, really, if I'm honest. I much prefer stuff like Only Fools and Horses and that. But yeah, obviously, you know, it was the finale episode as well, so I suppose that's why they got a lot of views, but, you know, animation-wise, I think Wallace and Gromit was the most watched, if you count that. And when I was 15, 2008. So obviously this film's technically 16 years since the last film, Matter of Life and Death, which was the last one to feature Peter Sallis. I mean, obviously Wallace and Gromit have done TV commercials and that since then. But in my opinion, this film was much better than A Matter of Life and Death and The Curse of the Were-Rabbit film, which was also, before this, the longest one as well. And I think as well, the fact that this film was a bit longer, it obviously meant there was more action and, you know, a lot more going on, so that's probably why it was better in that sense as well. And A Matter of Life and Death was the most watched show on Christmas Day in 2008. So I suppose, you know, part of me did have high hopes Wallace and Gromit would come first, but at the same time, you know, there was lots of competition on, but I'm glad it came second. And obviously come second, when you compare out of 10, was really, really good. And a lot of people that I've spoken to or seen online and that have said that they really like Vengeance Most Fowl as well, which is good. And like I say, it's been heavily featured on all the TV guides and that as well. Quite a lot compared to some shows. And again, if you watch my other videos, you probably see that I've got lots of other Wallace and Gromit merchandise as well. If you watch my videos, Wallace and Gromit have appeared in my channel right from when I started my channel 14 years ago. And Wallace and Gromit have pretty much been in all my videos since the channel started. More times than I can count on both hands. If you look in the background, they appear loads of times on my channel. I probably shared this story with you before as well, but I remember as well when A Matter of Life and Death came out over Christmas. I went back to school in the new year. Obviously you get half terms of that when you're at school, and I went back in the new year. And I remember this, two teachers, but one in particular, coming over to me and said to me, I bet I know what you was doing on Christmas Day. I bet you was watching the new Wallace and Gromit films on BBC One. And I remember as well, there was a teaching assistant as well. He didn't actually ask me. I asked him. I said, "Did you watch it?" And he said to me, "I knew he was going to ask me that." And his first thing he actually said to me was he liked it, but he said he thought the best one was The Wrong Trousers still, which I do agree with. But obviously that was before this new one come out, and I think this new one, you know, is definitely, I'd say, up there really. I don't think a film would ever for me personally beat The Wrong Trousers train chase scene, but obviously this one had obviously it wasn't a real train because it was animation, but it was made to obviously look like a real train. So you look at it really, it's progressed quite a lot really, from like a train chase to having like narrowboats and now an actual steam train sort of in it as well. They sort of upped the game really, and the fact that they've used has been a train, and obviously they say you did see the railway coaches as well from the Wrong Trousers referenced as well. So for me, it's definitely up there. On par with it, and I really enjoyed it, and I'd definitely watch it again. As well, if you watch my YouTube channel regularly, a couple of months ago I put a thing on with a screenshot from the trailer, and I said I noticed that when they showed the aqueduct, there was a railway line below, and I said maybe a possible train chase scene coming on again. And there wasn't really a train chase, but obviously there was the chase with the boats, and the fact that a train appeared, so I had a feeling that a train might appear maybe. So I got that right. I mean, I don't know how you can have a film that shows a railway line without a train running on it, personally. So I did sort of sense that might happen, and it did. And again, sometimes there's been stuff on this channel that has happened. And obviously at the end of the film, Feathers McGraw obviously just goes away on the train with the turnip, obviously originally thinking that he's got the diamond, but he's actually got the turnip because Gromit's swapped it over. And that. And so it makes me wonder if there's going to ever be another sequel to it, with Feathers again maybe. But I think, there probably will be another Wallace and Gromit film again, hopefully. And I hope there is. I really enjoyed this one. As well, on Christmas Day, my sister brought this game over. And it was like an Aardman theme one, and that was quite interesting, so I recommend you get this if you can. Something else I noticed that was a bit of an addition is that Wallace wears a brown overcoat, and it sort of reminded me of Arkwright's in Open All Hours as well, which was a sitcom that I used to like. I still do. Obviously they don't make it anymore, unfortunately. Delighted that Corgi's obviously made the Wrong Trousers train chase set. Next year as well is actually 30 years since the film A Close Shave came out, and I thought it'd be actually nice if Corgi did a model of the motorbike and sidecar. Again, things that I've said in the channel have come true, so hopefully that's one of them maybe. I'd like to think so. Corgi's producing quite a lot of stuff from TV shows at the minute, so hopefully maybe they'll think of that as well maybe. I don't know. But something else I noticed is obviously I was saying about the train chase being quite wacky, and a lot of it not making any sense, but for fun reasons, like the amount of time you see the wardrobe and the sets in the background on like a rolling set. But also as well, something I noticed, a bit of continuity error. When Wallace is on the back of the train originally in the trousers, there's 3 flatbeds, and then when he changes tracks, one of the flatbed trucks disappears. He then goes through the serving hatch, comes out of the trousers, but I mean, I'll be honest, it did take me a little while, but so I did notice the amount of flatbeds on the train, the fact the logs disappear actually changes on the train. And then when he ends up on the back of the train, the logs don't seem to be there, but maybe it's possible the logs came off when he fell onto the train, maybe. So that keeps on changing. But apart from that, I think the train chase is one of the best things in cinema history, particularly in animation. I know Peter Sallis, who was again the original voice of Wallace, he said it was his personal favourite scene. Mine, I'm sure many others as well. But that's my thoughts on this model. And thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a very happy New Year as well if I don't make another video before then. And goodbye.